this is much larger now. Thank you, MG team, finally. Personally, I quite like this dashboard, but nothing too sporty, very little hesitation. Hey guys, this is Jerry, welcome to the channel. Today we are driving the all-new MG HS. The MG HS is available in the petrol variant at the moment in New Zealand and Australia. In the future, there will be a plug-in hybrid. There are also rumors to say there will be an HEV, which is hybrid, non-plug-in. So we're going to see that maybe in 2025. But today, we're driving the pure petrol version. At this stage, it's only available in the single drivetrain, which is 1.5 litre turbocharged two-wheel drive and with the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. So first thing, pricing about this vehicle. At this stage, the pricing in New Zealand is on the screen. 36,990 for the base model, 39,990 for the medium spec, and this one is the top spec Essence. That will cost you 42,990 plus ORC. If you're looking to purchase one of these in New Zealand, why not contact us at Ebbett MG. I'll leave all the contact details in the description. Anyway, let's look at the dimensions first. This is a larger car compared to the last generation. The last MG HS is more of somewhere between small to medium, although the length is quite close to a medium-sized SUV, but it's never a large car in any way. This is much larger now. So dimension-wise, this is more than 4.65 meters long, with a wheelbase at 2.76, so pretty good size overall. The height remains identical from the last generation. So a bit wider, a bit longer, and more boot space. We're gonna test that soon. So in terms of exterior design, I really love this rear look. It's got the running through tail lights. They are, of course, full LED. They look great at night, but they don't lit up in the daytime, so it's hard to tell if you see this car driving on the road. On the side, on this top spec, we're getting 19-inch, but if you're looking for the base model, that's 18, where the mid spec is 19 as well. The exterior package looks identical across the range, to be fair. Full LED headlights at the front. There is a running decoration at the front, but they are not running light bars. Some black and some chrome. Again, some chrome, some black trim. And there are quite a lot of glossy finish underneath for the front spoiler, for the side skirt, and for the cover on the fog lights, which looks great, actually. On the side, it continues for the glossy black trim for the wheel arch, some glossy black for the skirts underneath. There are some carbon fiber looking panels over here. I do not think they are real carbon fibers at all. The windmill cover is also quite interesting. It's quite large for the cover. We're going to talk about in the visibility test. But black underneath, body color on the top. I do love the look from outside. Some black trims again, some black trims over here, chrome trims on the top, and chrome roof rails on the top as well. What do you think about the exterior? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I love this exterior. It's hard to tell there's anything wrong with this exterior. You can't say this is not a good looking car. Maybe you don't like the front, but that's how the family grille looks like on the new MGs, and that's just it. But for the rear, it's 10 out of 10 for me. So yeah, that is the exterior for the MG HS. Now let's go to the tailgate. The power tailgate is available on this top spec. Once it opens up, we're getting more than 500 liters of boot space. That's larger than the last generation. And the good thing about this, the loading floor is reasonably low compared to the last generation as well. That means taking your stuff in and out, it's going to be relatively easier compared to the last generation. Underneath, there are some storage area over here, and if you open this cover, you're going to find the space saver. Since this is a petrol car, you are going to get space saver, which is nice. Overall, the volume is square, large, pretty good to load anything. The rear seats are 40-60 split. That means once they drop flat, it will create a space around 1,450 liters. It's pretty useful for the standard size. Alright, next let's go to the rear seats. Before I push these seats back up, I want to show you one thing. MG has finally done it. On other MG cars, if you want to push the seats back up, you have to grab the seat belts because they will get in the way. Guess what? For the MG HS, no issue at all. There we go. Thank you, MG team, finally fixing these issues I've been waiting for years. Anyway, the seats, they are synthetic leather, very nice, very thick and soft as well. I love the stitchings, I love the contrast you can see, I love the small, like say, holes. It's not going to be quite nice in summer, it's not going to be that hot anymore. This is a good sort of upgrade from the last generation. let's step inside. So this is my sitting position. I'm about 178 centimeters tall. I've got tons of leg room, probably 2 feet of leg room. Toe room is really good as well. Headroom is reasonable, not bad either. Air vents at the back, pockets over here, USB-A charging underneath. There are 2 of them. If you open the center console, they're nice cup holders. They are piano black, so I guess they'll get scratches or anything like that, fingerprints, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, overall quality, really good. On the top, there is also a panoramic sunroof on this top spec, just like the last generation. If we're closing the door, sounds okay. Anyway, quality-wise, on the top, soft material. They are not like leather, but nice material. Here, there are some leather trims with orange stitchings, some plastic panels, but not too cheap either. Bottom, of course, plastic panels, just like that. So no issue for the rear seats. Personally, if we're sitting in the center, it's actually not bad. The back is quite like firm, but the foot space is really good. The tunnel is so small that you can ignore the gap on the top. I'm actually okay at the rear seat. In the center, of course, it's not going to be as comfortable as the outer seat, but it's fine to seat 3 adults at the back for reasonable amount of journey. And that's the interior. This is again whole new change. Now let's get to the second row. So all the AMG HS new range gets keyless entry and push button start, just like the last generation. On this top spec, we're getting additional lumbar support. Again, the seats, nice, very soft leather. So let's step inside. This is also one of the first AMG cars that's available with memory settings and comfort access. As you can see, me rolling forward with the seats. Steering wise, it's a very similar shape against the MG3 and MG4. I feel a little bit larger over here because I think they want to create a little bit more look for the dashboard, as this has a much larger dashboard compared to the MG3 and MG4. Buttons on this are identical to MG3 and MG4, and the trims a little bit different, but again very similar. In front of us, that's the dual 12.3 inches display. So this is your dashboard for your driving information, for your adaptive cruise control. You can adjust a few things on here. If you go into the vehicle, go into cluster, you can actually find 3 different displays. The navigation view is only available on the mid to high spec, where in Titan Drive is actually normal. Personally, I quite like this dashboard. I'm going to say it because not many people will care about it. When I drove other cars, there'll be so much graphics and all around. There'll be things going around, or you know, something flashing or something warning, things like that. There will be too many settings. This is actually a very simple approach. I can't say this is the fanciest dashboard, but it is a very useful dashboard for ordinary people, like for normal people like me, driving from work to home. I'm really happy with this dashboard, but it is not fancy, let's put it that way. So this is a new 12.3 inch display. It's generally quite easy to control, quite easy to find everything. Some panels at the front, navigation built in. You get the CarPlay, Android Auto, but both are wired. You get 360 view camera. The camera quality is okay. It's not great. It's not the best, but it's okay. It's useful at least. Some connections or some settings, you can find the phone vehicle settings over here, and you can find some vehicle control settings over here. So quite a few things. MG Pilot is all there. Convenient features is all there as well. You don't need to take much time to get used to everything. You can find everything relatively easy. Air conditioning control, there are some direct buttons over here, but everything is all on the screen if you want to change anything. This is a little bit annoying compared to other cars, just less buttons, I don't know why, but yeah, it is what it is. Many new trends like this are going to be like that. In terms of center consoles, air vents, USB charging on the left and on the right, 12-volt socket, cup holders are reasonable, some piano black trims over here with your electronic gear selector, with a dedicated P button, handbrake auto hold, and hill descent ability. Wireless phone charging is only available on the higher spec, and the storage console is okay. It's on the small side, to be fair. Glove box is actually quite large, so that's pretty good. That's pretty much it. There's no center tunnel or center console underneath the center console. I wish they could do something about that, because many new cars will have that. So storage in the center are not the best. In terms of build quality, you can find some soft material on the top, some leather finish around the door trims and around the armrest, where you can touch. Around the dashboard is all soft leather covered as well, with again orange stitchings goes around the dash. There are some piano blacks on the top, which is okay. One thing people will likely to complain is probably the surfaces that are covered with piano blacks over here on the steering, even on the light control and windscreen wiper control, on the quick adjust buttons, on the center console, on this side, even on the rear cup holders. So you're gonna have a lot of like fingerprints, maybe in the future some scratches it's gonna show on here. I wish there would be some less glossy trims on the around the doors. In terms of controls, I think this is somewhere towards simplicity, but at the same time it's got all the functions you need, like adaptive cruise control and all those things. All right, let's see how this guy goes. Before we go, I've also set the trip odometer to reset, so we're going to see how we achieve on this drive for the fuel consumption as well. Hopefully this will be a thing for me to do other videos in the future to test the fuel consumptions for you to see. First thing, we're going to drive through a car park, and let's see how the vehicle auto lights react, and the screen will go to a dark mode just like we expected. Looks fun actually. The map display on this, I quite like it. But if I drive on motorway, I'll probably prefer the adaptive cruise control information to be displayed instead. And before we go out the car park, I also want to talk about the visibility about this vehicle. First thing, the front windscreen is good. It's much better than last generation. I remember the console over here are quite large on the last gen, so like many tall people find struggle to see blind spot on the left. So that's good. The rear windscreen is also pretty good. It's decent. The only small issue I find is the wind mirror on the side. The wind mirror cover are reasonably large, so as you can see, the gap in between is quite small, so you can't see your, let's say, giveaways or anything when cars approaching from that direction. Same as that. That's the wind mirror cover is really huge. Like the glass, it's fine. I'm happy with the glass feel. So yeah, that's not the best, by the way, but at the same time, you probably get used to it eventually. I don't have a big problem with that, to be fair. If you look on the back, visibility is good too. No issue at all. We are fine finding the space. Alright, now we're on the road. Let's talk about the power numbers and stats. So the vehicle is powered by a 1.5 liter turbocharged petrol motor, so same size as the last generation two-wheel drive. This is also just the two-wheel drive front only. It sends out 125 kilowatts of power and 275 newton meters torque. The numbers are okay, but it is a little bit increase on the last generation. The most important change is the dual clutch transmission. Although it is still a 7-speed dual clutch, it works much better. There's very minimal lag. The change is it's changed from a dry clutch from the last generation to a wet clutch. The wet dual clutch transmission feel a lot more responsive and a lot easier to handle or get used to. You get very minimal lag when you put the foot down. We're driving on normal mode. I don't feel any of the lag or change, to be fair. It is reasonably peppy, so no issue getting you around the corners, or if you want to go out of the, let's say, giveaways, it's going to be quite reasonably fast. And that's definitely much better compared to the last generation. It's a lot more pleasant. The engine noise doesn't sound the most pleasant. It's not the most sporty engine noise. At the same time, very smooth. And if you put the foot down, it'll just react straight away. Instead of hesitation, then push out like the last gen. So that's what I find the new one is so much better. I've recently driven a car called J-Cool J7 that comes with a 1.6 turbo with a 7-speed dual clutch. I would say this dual clutch is as close or as good as that dual clutch in terms of acceleration and gear shifter timing, things like that. And driving around city, it's relatively quiet, reasonably comfortable. The suspension wise, it's a front McPherson suspension and a rear multi-link suspension setup, so very standard for the SUV range. It's a whole new chassis, whole new suspension setup compared to the last generation. Again, way more premium, feels way more premium than the last gen. I can't say it's 100% better than competitors on the market, but it's very soft, very cruisy, like very comfy. And driving in some urban areas, the car feels just smooth overall. I can't say it's 100% smooth compared to some, let's say, a CVT transmission, but in the meantime, it works just as you'd expect from a family car, let's put that way. The engine does produce a small noise here and there. When you put the foot down, yeah, that's pretty normal as you'd expect. And steering at low speed is quite light, so no issue going around. The steering shape is quite unique too, flat top and flat bottom, not as round as what you're used to, I suppose. Yeah, look at the pickup, it's just smooth. If you tap the foot down, it will just go as you want. Yeah, look at that. Should be no issue picking up. Let's go to the vehicle settings and change to a sports mode, as this is the only place we can change the drive mode. I do feel the steering does get stiffer as well once we go into sport mode. And you can feel it's solid on the higher speed. Over here, we had no one behind us. Let's see if we can slow down and do a small boost from 20, 1 to 3. I can't say it's faster than the last generation, but the gear changes quite well compared to last generation. There's no weird like transmission change, weird shudders, and takeoff is still very easy, but nothing too sporty, that's put that way. If you compare this to something like a natural aspirated 2-liter engine, this will feel similar, I shall say. It's fun around corners. It's not as sporty as something like a maybe Subaru Outback or a J-Crew J7, but it's comfy. It is still a little bit more stronger on the corners than the BYD Line 6. You are going to hear some noise around these areas as the road is pretty rough in the countryside of New Zealand. And don't worry, just wait and see. Once we go into that small pavement road on the next turn, you are going to get much less noisy cabin than this. The brake feels okay. I would say this brake feels a lot better than some of the EVs or hybrid cars. It's not so spongy, but as a petrol car, just normal. It feels okay. Apart from the drive mode change, there's no other specific settings you can set up for the driving part. So we're gonna drive on the sports mode after this. On the corners, they are fine. Not too bad. The body roll is okay. Acceleration here. Yeah, this time felt a lot more stronger than the last generation. Felt at high speed like this. Pretty solid around these light corners. This is a nice pavement I mentioned earlier, and you can feel the noise. Much less noise. There's some wind noise around the windmill cover, as I mentioned. It's pretty huge, but that's pretty much it. There's barely any road noise around here, so that's good. For your record, in this video I have turned the drive monitoring system off and also turned the speed limiter information off. Those are the two features that people may complain about, pings and beepings and things like that. Sadly, because of the new ANCAP, and they are going to be switched on whenever you switch the vehicle on. Yeah, that's the issue, and so when you want to turn it off, you do have to go into the center screen, go into the vehicle to change those settings, by the way. Some guys racing behind me. I'm already driving to the speed limiter and he's absolutely tailgating me. So yeah, let's say at some point we can get rid of him for me to peacefully do this video. Anyway, around this country road, let's try again around the corners. Nice, steady but not sporty. I don't feel the steering is super sharp. And you can see it's pretty agile, but the body isn't going to turn around there. There's some body roll here. And as said, I felt like the J-Cool J7, if you're really comparing, feels a little bit more solid around the corners and maybe a little bit more sportiness on the corners. This felt okay. You can see that pickup, pretty smooth. There's very little hesitation. And at this corner, just like that, there's a little bit body roll, understeer here and there. Yeah, it's not going to be a sporty car, let's put that way. As the approach on this generation is going to be very comfy, softer suspensions. Alright, let's do the full stop start acceleration. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that's alright. I don't think it's fast anyway. The approach for the transmission, all that things, tend to be smooth. Quite good on pickup, but after that it's still 1.5 liter turbo. It's not going to be sporty anyway, but overall I think it's okay. I would reckon the 0 to 100 timer will be around 8 to 9 seconds, somewhere around that. Here on these corners, they're fine. It's quite gentle around the corners, but that means it's not super sharp. I'm getting a little bit body roll here and there. Yeah, it is fine. It's okay. I think that's pretty much all I wish to talk about for this vehicle. Overall, my thoughts. Big step up from the last generation for the exterior look. I really love that. For the interior space, the rear seats and the boot has been increased. Again, I love that. Dashboard infotainment system, they're not class leading, and there are some better infotainment or better graphics on the market you can find by the competitors. But at the same time, this is a much nicer screen and experience compared to the last generation we dealt with. Dashboard is nice too. I love the dashboard. Feature wise, I wish there are more physical buttons here and there, but yeah, that's just the way of the new trend with big displays and things like that. Other things, driving, really love the driving. I can't say it's super sporty, but as a daily drive, if you're going to drive this on a rental trip, if you're driving this from home to work every day from a business point of view, or owning the car for the family, this will be more than enough as a drive thing, as a nice daily drive. Very comfy. Love the drive. No issue whatsoever. Small visibility issue on the wing mirrors. I'm not sure if others will agree with me, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you do not forget to subscribe and like. That's the best way to support the channel. As always, I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.